Hey everybody, Cracker Jack Mechanic here. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to talk about motorcycle wiring and why you need to know it. When I was going through school, one of the instructors said to the class that if you want to become a good motorcycle mechanic, you have to become good at electrics, at being able to do wiring. This is an often sticky point for a lot of people that are working on their own motorcycles. They say, I don't know about electrics, or they're not sure. You've got to be able to break it down into the systems and actually focus on what you're working. It's a little overwhelming to start, but once you get a good handle on it, it's something that'll serve you throughout your career as a motorcycle mechanic, and it is one of the pillars. It's a foundational piece in actually becoming a good motorcycle mechanic. There's no such thing as a good motorcycle mechanic who isn't capable of doing electrics, electronics, or wiring. On the newer bikes, I understand a lot of times you're gonna have to be able to plug them into a computer for diagnostics. There is some ways to do this on some of the earlier motorcycles with a breakout box, or being able to read codes through the speedometer or the LCD output, or a number of flashes. These are things that you can look up on Google for particular models if you're not working in a shop. Say you're working at home, you're doing some side work and you don't have access to that. But fundamentally, the motorcycle itself hasn't changed. It's just the electric systems or how they work together with the motorcycle. That's changed over the evolution of motorcycles. So since the earlier stuff is a little easier to work on, I will give some leeway in that regards, but it is something to understand, and actually using some of the earlier, say a 70s or 80s motorcycle will give you a better foundation, a little bit easier, maybe a little bit more straightforward on being able to build up your confidence, build up your skill as a motorcycle mechanic who is good at electrics. And that's ultimately what we want to become. We want to become well-rounded motorcycle mechanics, able to do all aspects of motorcycle mechanics: engine rebuilding, chassis maintenance, suspension tuning, different things like that as a customer describes their issues. And we are really problem solvers in this industry, along with a lot of other trades. Ultimately, what your day comes down to is problem solving. You're problem solving for the customer. Some of the things you'll be problem solving for, you'll scratch your head at. It would seem that you're figuring out how to get people's motorcycles to your shop to work on. You're almost figuring out their day-to-day problems, which is beyond the scope of motorcycle mechanics, but it is something that I do run into fairly regularly. It's routine still. Electrics is something you need to focus on in becoming a better motorcycle mechanic to move forward, being able to offer something that a lot of mechanics avoid or aren't able to. So if you excel in this area, you will set yourself apart. You'll put yourself up in the upper level of qualified mechanics, at least in my humble opinion, and that is something that will again set you apart. So focus on electrics, learn how to do that. Use an old motorcycle, don't be afraid of it. You have to think logically, break it down into systems. Say, for example, the charging system for charging the battery. Yes, the battery is necessary for the starter system. They are all working together, but they're not completely the same unit. So if there's a starting issue, it's not necessarily going to be the stator or the regulator rectifier. We want to focus on just the starter system, break it down into the simple systems themselves. The lighting system, a turn signal system is part of the lighting system, but it is kind of its own branch. So again, that's the idea of simplifying it down to its actual core, so that you're not overwhelmed by the whole big picture of things. To say, well, it's got a starter problem, but the turn signal doesn't work. It's unlikely that it's related. It's more likely that it is coincidence. You've got two problems. So focus, break it down, don't overwhelm yourself. Grab a service manual. Google can help sometimes. I worked on bikes before that was an option to be able to check things out, but it does speed up things a lot of times if there's a reoccurring problem with a model. But again, sometimes the use of Google or a computer can be misleading. Understanding the fundamentals of electrics will help you at least be able to troubleshoot a diagnostic in a more logical way and get you the same results, and you're not getting lost in the fog. I'm Jeff, the Cracker Jack Mechanic. I bring you motorcycle mechanics type videos, try and help you become a better motorcycle mechanic. Maybe there's a few rants, perspective pieces, but again, just check out my other videos, you'll see what I'm up to. So yeah, hit that subscribe button down on the right hand side. I'm Jeff, the Cracker Jack Mechanic, and thanks for watching.